right, listen up, because I'm only gonna tell this story once, and when I'm done, you'll understand why I had to walk away, and why I had to come back. I was always the black sheep of the family. While my siblings were chasing after degrees in law, medicine, and business, I was out in the fields, covered in dirt, with a dream that seemed as wild as the land itself. I wanted to be a landscape architect, to transform barren lands into thriving ecosystems. My family thought I was crazy. My dad, a stern man with a heart as hard as the concrete he built with, would laugh in my face. "You want to play in the dirt for a living?" he'd scoff. "You're an embarrassment, son. You'll never amount to anything." My mom, ever the enabler of my father's ridicule, would just shake her head, her eyes filled with a mix of pity and disappointment. "Why can't you be more like your siblings?" she'd ask, her voice dripping with disapproval. My brothers and sisters, they'd chime in too, their laughter echoing through the house, a constant reminder of their scorn. But I didn't let it break me. No, I let it fuel me. I left home with nothing but a backpack full of books and a heart full of dreams. I enrolled in the best landscape architecture program I could find, and I threw myself into my studies with a ferocity that surprised even myself. The first few years were tough. I struggled to make ends meet, often going days with barely anything to eat. But I didn't give up. I couldn't, because every time I thought about quitting, I'd remember the laughter, the scorn, the disbelief in their eyes, and I'd push harder. I started small, taking on projects that no one else wanted. I turned a desolate lot into a community garden, abandoned warehouse into a rooftop farm. Word spread, and soon I was getting offers from all over the country. I was transforming barren lands into thriving ecosystems, just like I'd always dreamed. Years passed, and I became one of the most sought-after landscape architects in the world. I'd won awards, been featured in magazines, and even had a documentary made about my work. But none of that mattered as much as the day I decided to go home. I pulled up to the old house in a sleek black car, my heart pounding in my chest. I could see them through the window, my family, sitting around the dinner table, laughing and joking. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the car. The door opened and my mom stood there, her eyes widening in shock. "Ethan?" she whispered, as if she couldn't believe her own eyes. My dad, hearing the commotion, came to the door, his face turning red with anger. "What are you doing here?" he growled. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, letting them take in the sight of me. The expensive suit, the confident stance, the air of success that clung to me like a second skin. I could see the confusion in their eyes, the disbelief, the slowly dawning realization. I turned and gestured to the car, where my assistant was unloading a large framed photograph. It was a picture of one of my most famous projects, a barren desert transformed into a lush, green oasis. I handed it to my dad, watching as his eyes scanned the image, taking in the vibrant colors. The lush greenery, the sheer beauty of it all. "This is yours?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I nodded. Every inch of it. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with a mix of pride and regret. "I didn't know," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I didn't know you could do this." I didn't say anything. I just stood there, letting the weight of his words sink in. I could see the same emotion reflected in my mom's eyes, in the eyes of my siblings. They'd mocked me, ridiculed me, laughed at my dreams, and now they were facing the consequences of their past derision. But I didn't hold it against them. No, I forgave them. Because I understood that their ridicule had been born out of fear, out of a lack of understanding, out of a desire to protect me from what they saw as a futile dream. And I forgave myself, too, for letting their words hurt me, for letting them almost break me. I spent the rest of the evening with my family, sharing stories of my journey, of the struggles and the triumphs, of the lessons I'd learned along the way. And as I looked around the table, at the faces of the people who had once mocked me, but now looked at me with pride and respect, I knew that I had come full circle. I had returned home, not just as a successful landscape architect, but as a man who had proven his worth, who had turned his dreams into reality, who had transformed barren lands into thriving ecosystems, both literally and metaphorically. And as I drove away from the old house, leaving behind the laughter and the scorn, the disbelief and the ridicule, I knew that I had finally, truly left the past behind. I had forgiven, I had forgotten, and I had moved on. And in doing so, I had found the true meaning of success, of triumph, of redemption. So if you're out there chasing a dream that seems impossible, that seems ridiculous, that seems like it'll never amount to anything, let me tell you this: don't give up. Don't let the laughter, the scorn, the disbelief hold you back. Because one day you'll look back on this moment and you'll see that it was all worth it. That every struggle, every setback, every tear, every triumph led you to where you are today. And you'll know without a doubt that you've made it, that you've proven your worth, that you've transformed your dreams into reality. And that, my friend, is the sweetest revenge of all.